What is up, Moon or Bust Mob and Zinger Nation? How are we doing on this fine Wednesday? My name is Logan Ross, and this is Moon or Bust, your home for all things altcoins and DeFi. I am joined today by my two wonderful co-hosts. We have the DeFi developer himself, Brian Moir, and master of margin, Ryan McNamara. How are you guys doing today? Hold on. Let me add you in here. Boom, and boom. How you guys doing?
Fantastic.
Doing good.
Yeah.
Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday, man. Number one Dex trader right there. We'll get into how he knows he's the number one Dex trader a little bit later. But we have a great show for you today. I'm personally super excited for this one. We're going to be talking to Peng Zhang from the Cosmos blockchain. If you aren't familiar with Cosmos, it's basically the internet of blockchains. Okay, so they have over 240 blockchains plugged into them right now, including Polygon and the Binance Smart Chain. So any proof of stake blockchain can plug into them, and so many of them have been already. So the Cosmos Hub, it seems like the place to be, and Peng is leading the development on the chain. So it's super exciting, and it's going to be really fascinating. A lot of cool stuff to learn today. So if you are excited, let us know by smashing the like button. If we get 100 likes on today's show, I will give away a piece of merch from Moon or Bust, like Ryan's Decentralized Everything shirt he's got on there. Ryan, if you want to show that off. If we hit 100 likes, I'll give away a shirt, but no, not for anything less than that. All right, after you hit the like, drop a comment about the blockchain projects, the crypto projects you're looking at this week, and maybe drop a question about Cosmos if you have one ready right now. Also, while you're down there in the description, the first link is the Benzinga crypto channel. That is where all the highlights from this show and the other crypto show go. You do not want to miss those. As always, make sure to follow us on Twitter. Check out the Discord. You know the drill. Okay, with that out of the way, Uniswap has officially launched on Optimism. Ryan, I know that you have been excited for this, looking forward to it for a long time. Can you tell us what this means?
Yeah, so this actually came to a surprise to me because Uniswap's been talking about implementing with Arbitrum now, and there hasn't been much word on implementing Optimism on Uniswap. Although Uniswap did say they would use Optimism before they said anything about Arbitrum. Both Optimism and Arbitrum are layer 2 scaling solutions for Ethereum. So the goal with this is to reduce fees and make basically instant transactions on Uniswap. So Uniswap released this yesterday. It's really cool. I went in, I deposited some liquidity on Optimism just to see how it would work. It's actually a really simple process. Logan, do you want to pull it up? Do you want to try and go through and show people how to actually deposit money onto Optimism so you can use it on Uniswap?
So Optimism is a layer 2, right?
Right.
Okay, so that means I'm going to have to send my assets from the Ethereum mainnet over to this layer 2 network. And so we go to gateway.optimism.io, connect your MetaMask wallet, and then you're basically good to go. So I'm going to send over 0.045 ETH, should be something like $100. And I'm going to try to deposit that onto the Optimism network. So the gas fee is $13. I was expecting it to be somewhere around there. That's honestly not too bad. I mean, it's going to price out a lot of people, but can't complain.
Yeah, like that's just a one-time fee too. So you're paying that on Ethereum's network, and that's like a normal gas fee. But once you do that, your money will be deposited on Optimism, and once you're on Optimism, you'll be paying less than $1 for every transaction.
Yeah. So Ryan, you did this yesterday, and what's the advantage of moving over to Optimism versus staying on the mainnet?
So there are definitely a few advantages of using Optimism over just the layer 1 blockchain. For one, investors can get into this for $100, $200, whereas on Uniswap, you'd need at least a few $1,000s to really make a decent ROI. But one of the reasons I did it is just to experiment, because now that gas fees are so cheap on Optimism, you can go ahead and deposit some money and put in some concentrated liquidity on Uniswap. And what I'm doing right now is I'm concentrating my liquidity, super concentrated, like 1% in either direction, because the more concentrated your liquidity is, the higher fees you earn. So I'm trying to concentrate my liquidity very concentrated to earn the most interest as possible. And since I don't always have to be in range on Optimism, I can adjust my positions accordingly. Before I wouldn't make a concentrated liquidity position 1% in either direction, because maybe I'd only be in it for a day or two, and then I'd stop earning interest, and then I'd have to pay maybe $20, $30, $40 even to take out my liquidity. And not only that, but then you have to pay another $100 to $200 to input your liquidity. So you'd have to be making like $300 in interest over a day to make it feasible. So for most investors, it's just not feasible to concentrate your liquidity in such a tight range on layer one. But now with Optimism on layer two, you can move your funds around so much easier because it's costing me like 70 cents to exit a position, 50 cents to enter a position. And to trade, it's almost free. It's like under 10 cents to trade on Uniswap. So this is a great option for anyone looking to trade Ethereum tokens on Uniswap. It's definitely one of the cheapest ways to trade crypto now, and you actually own it, right? So you don't have to pay any gas fees. If you watched the episode last week where Logan traded on Uniswap, you had to pay like $20 or $30 just to trade one swap on Uniswap. So obviously, if you're only trading with a few $100s, it's not very feasible. But now you have access to so many tokens not listed on exchanges, and you can swap for under $1.
Very, very nice. Okay, so I'm seeing here that it takes about 20 minutes before it's going to be finalized. So maybe we will move on and come back to it. So next, what's up?
So yeah, that problem happened with me. It said it would take up to 20 minutes to finalize, but actually, if you go on Uniswap and you have the Optimism set as your network, it might already register. It took me probably 3 or 4 minutes to register on Uniswap.
Okay, so let's move on to the next piece of news. So real quick, this came out early this morning. Jerome Powell said that the Fed is going to publish a report on digital currency early in September. I'm personally very curious to see what this is going to say. All regulation, I think, while it might be bad for short-term prices, adds legitimacy to cryptocurrency and is only good in the long term. So this is just a quick little announcement that came out today I wanted to let you guys know about. Other than that, Brazil has approved an Ethereum ETF. Brian, do you want to tell us about this?
Yeah, I mean, this happened. I saw the news this morning at like 5 o'clock, so there's not a whole lot of more information about it. But we were talking about the crypto ETS, I think, was it Monday? I think we had it was Monday. We were talking about Grayscale and Bullish and all that whole package. But now Brazil is now the first country in Latin America to approve Ethereum exchange traded fund. It's going to go by the ticker QETH11. And kind of is going to let anyone who wants to get into crypto if you're in Brazil, get into crypto and you don't have access to a lot of other stuff that anywhere else you can. So it kind of gives you that easy use. You have a lot less risk, and you're going with a trusted firm that's going to be managing the fund. So I am very bullish on crypto ETFs and that whole space, which will bring a whole lot of people into crypto that are only focused on stocks. Now they're kind of slowly getting into it. And hopefully we can move them over to, full-time decentralization, but a lot of those people will not. So this is kind of neat.
Brian, can you tell us that ticker one more time? I missed it the first time you said it.
QETH1111.
Okay, cool.
I don't know if it, I don't know how we would be able to access it, but there's a ticker if you're in Brazil and watching. You got it.
Yeah, I wonder if there is any way to access it, because right now in the US there aren't any Ethereum ETFs that I know of, right?
Grayscale has a few, but they're OTC.
But it's like
it's
a
Ethereum.
Trust,
it's like
of some sort.
Yeah, Ethereum is inside their, and it's not really an ETF. It's inside their whole like quote unquote ETF fund. So it's I think you're right. I don't think there is just a sole Ethereum fund. So that's kind of neat. That's cool too. And I'm really bullish on Ethereum, like we all are. So I think it's gonna, in the next 6 months, we'll go back to all-time highs, easy, surpass it.
Yeah, if only the US could be this up to date and forward thinking on their ETFs. Then yeah, I mean, they haven't even approved a Bitcoin ETF yet. They just keep delaying them over and over again. And so in Ethereum, ETF is still, I mean, it's out of the picture right now for the US. But it's cool to see other countries doing it. I know Canada has it now, Brazil has it too. But that's the first South American country to add it. But it's pretty exciting to see where this goes in the future, and hopefully we'll get a US one eventually.
Agreed.
All right.
So do we have Peng Zong backstage yet, Logan?
Yes, he is. He is backstage. So I say let's do the interview now. Real quick, guys, I just wanted to fill you in. We had a messed up redirect from the previous show. That's why there's not too many people here right now. But we are Spencer's working on redirecting the Fed stream into us. So hopefully we'll pick up here. But there's 82 people waiting for Monday's McNamara episode right now, which is great.
Whoops.
All right. Okay, so this is the moment that I have been waiting for. Hopefully you've been waiting for as well. The Cosmos interview with Peng Zong, the CEO of Tendermint. Peng, how are you doing today? Welcome to Moon or Bust.
I'm doing great. Extremely happy to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, the pleasure is all ours. Okay, so for those out there who don't know about you, could you tell us a little bit about your background in crypto?
Yeah, so I'm Peng. I started hearing about crypto in 2014, and I joined Tendermint the next year in 2015. And I've had a background in UI design and development, front-end development. So I make things look good, make things easy to use. So that's really my background.
Awesome. Okay, so can you tell us a little bit about the Cosmos project and how it got started?
Yeah, so Cosmos was kicked off in 2016. The co-founders Jake Kwan and Ethan Buckman, they had an idea for, the internet of blockchains, where all blockchains, around the world are all connected together, communicating between each other, sending tokens, etc. And I think, what is it now? 5 years later in 2021, this is when this is actually starting, right? So they've had this vision for a long time, and, it seems to be the future, right? This multi-chain interconnected future.
Very cool.
For sure. So I noticed Tendermint is the company that builds Cosmos blockchain, but they're not directly integrated with each other, right? So could you kind of delineate what Tendermint does for the Cosmos blockchain and what the separation is there?
Yep. So Tendermint is one of the core development entities behind Cosmos. There's about 15 different companies and organizations that build Cosmos, and Tendermint focuses on product development and communications for the Cosmos ecosystem. So if you see stuff coming out of the @Cosmos Twitter handle, that's run by our team. If you're seeing, the websites about Cosmos or this thing called Gravity Dex or, things like that, anything website related, we're doing as well. And we were heavily involved in, the most recent upgrade to the Cosmos Hub, the Gravity Dex. We work very closely with, these other 14 teams, and to make sure that every development that they make, everything that's ready to, sort of go live and to be voted on by the Cosmos community, gets out there.
So are these other teams, do they develop like platforms on Cosmos, or are they actually developing the Cosmos blockchain?
Right. So like I said earlier, right, 2021 has really been the start of this multi-chain universe. And likewise for Cosmos, right? We've been all of these teams have been so focused on developing core infrastructure, sort of all these base layers, right, that you need, to get to an interconnected world. And, that's what the focus really is on. A lot of them are starting to develop their own, blockchains built on Cosmos technology. And given that Cosmos allows you to connect them all together, that's the direction we're going, instead of having people build with smart contracts.
Interesting.
That's awesome. Well, so what is the inter-blockchain communication, and what is the goal of the IBC?
Yep. So Cosmos, the idea, kicked off in 2016, came with the idea of not just building a blockchain framework, but a blockchain framework that can allow users to permissionlessly send tokens from one chain to the other, right? It's sort of the holy grail we've all been waiting for. And, for all of these years, we've been using centralized exchanges to make this happen, right? Let's say you want to buy a token that's not on the Ethereum ecosystem. Let's say you want to buy Solana or something. Right now, you just have to go to, Binance and trade in your ETH for Solana there, right? It's a really centralized platform, and when you deposit your tokens on there, you're not really sure, who really controls those tokens. If the exchange shuts down, as many exchanges, centralized exchanges have shut down in the past, it's very difficult or without any recourse for you to get your tokens back. So the idea of a multi-chain world that can communicate tokens between each other at the will of the user really allows you to custody all the assets that you want to custody, and also exchange them for any other asset that you want in this universe of crypto.
That's awesome. So I saw that the Gravity Dex went live on Monday. Can you tell us about how the Gravity Dex works? What is a multi-chain Dex, and the significance of this for crypto in general?
Right. So first of all, in terms of the architecture of Gravity Dex, it's very different than what we've seen before. But in terms of the usability of Gravity Dex, it's meant to be similar to Uniswap, right? So if you've used a automated market maker or constant function market maker similar to Uniswap, you should have a fairly good idea of how to use the Gravity Dex, which is good, right? I think people appreciate some level of familiarity. But in the back end, it's wild. We have Gravity Dex, which is located on one blockchain, the Cosmos Hub. And the Cosmos Hub only has one token, right? So there's not really much you can do trading one token for the other. But with IBC, right, the idea of inter-blockchain communication and permissionless user-initiated token transfers, any blockchain using IBC can now send tokens to the Gravity Dex across the internet and create liquidity pools, and allow you to exchange tokens for any other token that's available via IBC.
So if a blockchain doesn't use IBC, is there a way for developers to implement the IBC on that blockchain that don't necessarily work for, say, Ethereum, and transfer those tokens onto Cosmos blockchain and the Gravity Dex?
Yep. So this was the original vision for IBC. So IBC is always meant to be blockchain agnostic and a community agnostic. It works very well if you are building a proof of stake blockchain. So one of the requirements of IBC is that block finality needs to be achieved relatively quickly, right? What this means is blockchains with eventual finality, like Ethereum mainnet right now, and Bitcoin, which take a number of confirmations right before you assure that these transactions are legitimate. They have a very difficult time to implement IBC, but blockchains that are proof of stake based, which are the majority these days, have a very easy way to implement IBC. Speaking of Ethereum, though, so much activity is happening on Ethereum. The most transactions and the most amount of value is being transferred there on a daily basis. We have this other protocol that's launching in Q3 called the Gravity Bridge. So this is a two-way bridge between Ethereum and EVM blockchains and Cosmos blockchains. So initially, it will be a two-way bridge between Cosmos and Ethereum, right? So every IBC asset today, of which there are quite a number and growing every day. As of today, there are I think 9 blockchains that support IBC, and there are going to be over 30 by the end of the year. So those will be able to transfer over to Ethereum, right, and allow you to purchase those on platforms like Uniswap. But at the same time, every single ERC20 token that you can imagine on Ethereum will be able to flow through into Cosmos through Gravity Bridge.
Gotcha. So is this Gravity Bridge, is this kind of like a temporary fix until Ethereum goes to proof of stake? And once it's proof of stake, will it be easier to implement all these different Ethereum tokens onto Cosmos?
Well, so that's a great question. It's not temporary. It's meant to be a permanent solution because it's not just Ethereum that we want to bridge to. Cosmos is about bridging all blockchains together. And this Ethereum virtual machine platform is becoming very popular. So blockchains like Binance Smart Chain, Polygon, Phantom, and a number of other, they brand themselves sort of layer 2s for Ethereum, support the EVM. And with the Gravity Bridge protocol, they can bridge directly to Cosmos as well.
Gotcha. So I actually tried to interact with the Gravity Dex earlier today just to see what it was all about. I couldn't find a way to do so. Do we need to wait for platforms to integrate with the Gravity Dex to use it, or is there a way to use it already?
Right. So there's no way to use it for most people right now. It is a protocol that is launched on a blockchain, but there's no UI for it yet, right? So you can use it from the command line, which to be honest, I'm not even using right now because it's quite complicated. But we are at Tendermint very busy working on the UI. It's called Emrys, and it should launch within July.
Yeah, I noticed that your like the whole SDK with Starport is pretty cool because I'm pretty sure it's in Golang, and you just do it from the terminal, and then you can pop up a UI like 8 lines of code, and you're off and running, and that's fantastic. I just wanted to mention that one. So during the DeFi Summit Fireside chat, you said that Cosmos allows DeFi to go interchain. Could you tell us about Emrys and what role Emrys? Am I saying that right? Emrys.
Emrys.
And achieving this Emrys.
Yeah. So there are other teams other than Cosmos working on this. I think if you are familiar with something called Zapperfi or Zerion, right? These sort of multi-chain DeFi platforms, right? That let you see all the tokens that you have in Ethereum, and I think they've started supporting Matic. They started supporting Polygon as well, right? So Emrys is similar to this, but what it has in addition, to Ethereum support is Cosmos support, and through Cosmos support, right, and through protocols like IBC and Gravity Bridge, there are going to be far more chains supported than on multi-chain portals that exist today.
So I just want to make sure I'm understanding Emrys correctly. So it's like a one-stop shop for using the Gravity DEX for seeing all your coins across chains and basically accessing the Cosmos hub and all the interconnected chains. That's what Emrys is meant to be.
Exactly. So in the beginning, right, the very first feature we're supporting through Emrys is Gravity DEX. Right, there's this multi-chain exchange to allow you to swap and LP with tokens. Over time, it'll fully support all of Cosmos features, which include on-chain governance for every single chain you're involved in, and also staking on all the chains that are supported through IBC. And like I mentioned before, Gravity Bridge allows Ethereum tokens to fly into Cosmos, and from Cosmos tokens to fly into Ethereum. So that will mean we'll be starting to support some Ethereum protocols within Emrys as well. You can expect to use your favorite DEX, your favorite Ethereum DEX in Emrys. So that's technically how it works. But the reason why we think this needs to exist is right now you have to use applications like, let's say, Blockfolio, right, to track the tokens that you hold across multiple blockchains. And for the most part, you have to be manually typing in how much tokens you hold in each of these chains. And of course, for you to actually use these tokens, you need to go to your wallet, and you have, several wallets, maybe across your phone and on Ledger devices or, with MetaMask. So there's many, many ways to interact with the tokens that you hold. And we think there should be one way that allows you to access all your tokens at once and allow you to send it across, the internet of blockchains as you wish.
Okay, so what's the advantage of building your own connection to Ethereum versus just using Polygon or something like a proof of stake sidechain that's already plugged into Cosmos?
Yeah, so we love Ethereum, we love Polygon, and we love all the scalability solutions that are popping up around Ethereum. But what Cosmos offers is something slightly different. So what Cosmos offers is the ability for you to build your own Polygon. Instead of building a smart contract on a platform that is run by Polygon validators or the miners on Ethereum, you're building a platform that's owned entirely by your community. So that means there are things that you can change on a sovereign blockchain that you can't really change if you were just writing a smart contract. So one of the biggest things that this gives you is full freedom around blocks. So every single block would only hold the transactions of your application, right? So if you're building something that, let's say, is for a particular institution or a number of institutions or for a particular country or even like a local jurisdiction, you don't really need to be sending these transactions across the entire world. You don't need to be paying, $40 transaction fees to be speaking to people in, across the road or something, right? So local blockchain is a great use case for this. Very specialized use cases for particular particular types of companies and particular types of industries, right? Let's say you're in the energy business, right? You don't want to be sharing, data about the energy business alongside, someone's cats they want to sell as an NFT on Ethereum. There are many use cases for which, a set of blocks that are designed specifically just for your chain make a lot of sense. So that's what Cosmos allows for. And it also allows for you, through the power of IBC, to take the transactions that really need to be cross-chain, right? So let's say you were running a fundraiser in your local community, and you can build a chain for that, in fact, and collect the funds that way. But once you're ready to purchase something on the wider market, you can use IBC to send those funds to a larger marketplace, let's say like the Cosmos Hub. And by pooling your funds together and then sending one transaction, after a course of several weeks to a larger marketplace, you're able to buy what you want, send it back to your blockchain.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know that a lot of the blockchain and crypto people, and myself included, we made a shirt that says decentralize everything, right? And to an extent, a lot of things need to be decentralized, but there's a certain a lot of use cases are okay with some level of centralization, right? And like the examples you gave, sometimes it even makes more sense to use a less centralized chain if you really don't need that much trustlessness, if that's a word. But so I'm curious, how many chains are plugged into Cosmos right now? And if you had to take just a ballpark guess, how many will be plugged in a decade?
Yep. So 2021, right? So IBC was finalized this year, and it was enabled on the very first blockchain, the Cosmos Hub, in March of this year. Fast forward now, what is this now? 4 months later, we have 9 blockchains that support IBC, and we have an estimated, I think, 23 more over the next few months. So the number is growing rapidly, and through Starport, which Brian mentioned earlier, right? If you're not familiar with Starport, but if you're a developer, you might know of Ruby on Rails, right? Ruby on Rails is sort of the most easy platform for you to quickly scaffold a web application from scratch. And if you're not a developer, maybe you're familiar with the web still. You may be familiar with WordPress, right? WordPress is one of the most widely used blogging software in the world. It powers about 1/3 of all the world's websites, actually.
Wow.
So that's what Starport is. Starport is a way for you to create a blockchain very quickly and secured by some of the best technology in the business. Starport is built on the Cosmos SDK, which actually secures Binance Chain, Cosmos Hub, Terra, Thor Chain, and many other chains.
Very impressive. Yeah.
Together valued at more than 65 billion today. Maybe it's lower because of the market, but it's a very stable platform, very well trusted, and it really lets you to build anything you want, as seen by how people are using it. Going back to the original question, there's 9 chains that connect together right now.
Okay.
Probably over 30 by the end of the year.
Okay.
By the end of 10 years, I would expect to see hundreds of thousands of chains connected through IBC.
That's so cool.
I think that's a pretty good estimate. I mean, I think that's fair. There's going to be a lot. I mean, there's, like you said, with Starport, you don't even have to be a developer to use it. And I don't really know Ruby on Rails or Golang very well, and I know React and JavaScript, but it didn't take any time to go through the tutorials and walk through how to do it, and even how to hook up IBC and use Tendermint. I'm very impressed with the whole project, and it's very useful. And like you said, there's going to be a lot more to come onto it. I guarantee it.
Yeah, there's just so much more infrastructure that needs to be built. But the vision for Starport is meant to be a way for you to create blockchains for anything that you want to, and not just blockchains, but what's trendy these days? DAOs, right? Starport allows you to create DAOs. It allows you to allocate tokens to a set of people. It allows you to use those tokens to vote on anything that you want, and allows you to distribute tokens as well to any sort of fundraising mechanism that you care about. And you can build it on a weekend for the most simple version. And if you want to build $1 billion blockchain, we have the example of Binance Chain and Terra out there.
Mm-hmm. So I'm sure there are other projects that are trying to connect multiple blockchains, sort of competitors of yours. Is there a future where these blockchains, these like the internet's multiple internets of blockchains can just connect to each other as well?
Yep, that is definitely the end goal. We see every, sort of multi-chain ecosystem, not as a competitor, but as a collaborator, because we're trying to bridge all chains together. And there was a question earlier about, non-Cosmos chains adopting IBC. We're seeing some of that already. Polkadot, I believe, is working on an implementation of IBC. We're in talks with a number of other, foundations and organizations building proof-of-stake blockchains to implement IBC themselves. Generally, they're very open to this idea.
That's awesome.
It looks like Crypto.com, their mainnet was built on with IBC on Starport or Tendermint. That's pretty cool too, because they're getting out there too. I mean, every project that's on here is huge. It's ridiculous, and it's crazy to think the scale that this can go to with the ease that it can as well. I mean, like you said, it's super secure. If you can't tell, I'm very excited you're here, and I really like the Cosmos network. But that's really awesome. It's very impressive. I didn't even know those kinds of numbers were on there.
Yeah, I'm really glad to hear that, Brian. When you mentioned Crypto.com, which I didn't even speak about yet, but the exchange tokens, right? Exchange tokens are something that's becoming more and more popular. And aside from Crypto.com, right, there's also OKX chain. So OK Exchange is also built. The token's also built on the Cosmos SDK as well as Binance Chain. It's just a very practical solution. If you're looking for something to secure, a large amount of value or large number of transactions, there's no better proven solution out there. That's really better than Cosmos SDK, and it's entirely free to use, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So let's talk about scaling for a second. As Cosmos gains more and more adoption and the network gets more and more traffic, what measures have been taken to kind of prevent the congestion that we've seen on the Ethereum network, for example, to prevent transaction fee skyrocketing?
Yep. So Cosmos was designed for scalability from the very beginning. The idea of a multi-chain world, where you build application-specific blockchains, right, is really the way we hope to scale, and it's really the solution that we think will make the most sense. 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road, I would expect every popular DeFi protocol on Ethereum, right, to eventually scale into their own blockchain and to use these cross-chain communication protocols, to allow their users to transfer value once they're done using, one or more of these other protocols. That's just the only way this will work, right? If you want to have hundreds of thousands of millions of users per DeFi application, you're not going to be sharing it. You're not going to be sharing block space on even Ethereum 2.0.
So speaking of scaling, and Logan, do you mind if I ask this question?
Go for it.
Okay, yeah. So speaking of scaling and users joining the Cosmos network, I'm just trying to better understand what the end goal of Cosmos is as far as the operability of it. Is this something that you see as being like a DEX for every blockchain that uses the IBC? Or is this something that people will be able to actually farm tokens on and do a lot of other DeFi type things across different platforms? Is that something that is feasible and in your roadmap?
So if I understand you correctly, Ryan, you're talking about the use cases of Gravity DEX. Is that right?
Yeah, just more specifically, will you be able to yield farm cross-chain on Cosmos in the future?
So you can already do that. There's
Okay.
more than one DEX in the Cosmos ecosystem. One project that came up recently, I think last month, that just went up last month, called Osmosis, allows you to yield farm cross-chain essentially, and
That's crazy.
it allows you to deposit tokens from another chain and then earn the primary token of Osmosis. You'll be able to do something fairly similar with Gravity DEX in the coming months.
Okay, but all those funds are staying on the Cosmos ecosystem. It's not like I could go to, say, Binance Smart Chain and provide Bitcoin and BNB without wrapping anything to one of those protocols.
So IBC is all about wrapping tokens, actually.
Okay.
So you will have to wrap your tokens to bring it over
Right.
to Cosmos dexes, including the Gravity dex.
Okay.
Okay, so say I wrap some of my tokens that were on the Polygon network onto Cosmos. Say I wrap some from Binance, and then I could swap between those on the Gravity Dex, right? Are those transactions processed on the Cosmos hub on that one chain, or does it also use the power of all the chains that are plugged into it?
So when you make transactions on the Gravity Dex, no matter where these tokens came from, whether they came from, like you mentioned, Polygon or Binance Smart Chain, they will all be processed on the Cosmos Hub. Because
Okay.
the Gravity Dex is on the Cosmos Hub. But once the transaction completes, you will have, these wrapped tokens you can send back to the chain they came from.
Okay, sure. So the main Cosmos hub, the Cosmos chain, is what's going to need to scale the most to be able to provide the functionality for all these chains coming together.
That's right.
Okay.
And there's a future where even the Gravity Dex might be moved onto its own blockchain. As scalability becomes a concern, and as the Cosmos Hub offers more and more services to the chains that connect to it, we will hit a bottleneck with the hub itself, and the hub might need to be decentralized into several chains itself.
And what would be the advantage of so say you move the Gravity Dex onto its own chain? Wouldn't that require a separate transaction, a separate bridge, and kind of just make the whole thing more complicated?
No, it doesn't, because the way IBC is meant to be used is it's meant to be used through single hops, right? So you wouldn't send your Polygon token from Polygon to the Cosmos Hub, and then from Cosmos Hub to this Gravity Dex chain, but you'd send it directly from Polygon to the Dex.
Okay.
So
I
we try
see.
to keep things as simple as possible, because the vast majority, I would say 99.99% of all transactions, don't need to perform more than one hop through IBC. Because I'll give you an example, right? Let's say you're trying to lend some tokens that you hold. Let's say you're trying to lend your BTC, and there's a lending protocol on Cosmos blockchain, right? So you'd want to send the BTC through a BTC bridge to this lending protocol. And then you might want to do something with your with the tokens you get, right, via lending. So what happens is your BTC gets locked onto this, lending protocol on Cosmos, and you issued a new token, and that one you can send to another chain. So there's really no need for you to send BTC from one chain to another.
Gotcha.
I gotcha.
And so you see Emrys as being like the facilitator, the one-stop shop to go between all these chains to make it super easy from a user's perspective.
Exactly. We really don't want people to shoot themselves in the foot. We don't want them to be sending tokens from one chain to the other and getting sort of tangled up, getting their tokens tangled up. Right. We want to keep their tangles straight. And this is sort of the wrong metaphor to use here. But what I'm trying to say is we try to keep everyone focused on the tokens that they hold, not on which blockchain they're on or
Right.
where the yield farming is happening.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I know Ryan and I write a lot of articles on like how to buy Binance Smart Chain tokens because it's not obvious, it's not user friendly, and so seeing as that's your background, this totally makes sense that Emrys is going to be this this platform to kind of abstract blockchain away from the end user.
So, Ping, moving on to Atom, Cosmos Native Token, can you tell us a little bit about that, and also how does it accrue value, or what gives it value?
Right. So the Atom token has been used primarily for staking and governance up until this point, right? So people can get the Atom token and they can vote on the future of the Cosmos Hub, and they can also stake it to earn yield. I think somewhere around 10% per year or so. There are a large number of features coming to the Cosmos Hub this year because we've started to have time to focus on that. The past 5 years, we've really been building, the core infrastructure. We've been building IBC and launching IBC, and now, it's the time for applications to start springing up. The very first application, which we've been talking about throughout this talk, is the Gravity Dex, right? So the Gravity Dex is secured by the Atom, and that means that all transaction fees, go to Atom stakers. Beyond that, the Gravity Bridge coming in Q3 will also be secured by the Atom, right? So if you want, a sort of a secure place where you send your Ethereum assets over to Cosmos, likely it'll be the Cosmos Hub, which is, the highest value Cosmos blockchain, highest value decentralized blockchain. Binance Chain is valued more than the Cosmos Hub, but it can't be considered decentralized.
Agreed.
Yeah, so let's talk about levels of decentralization. Obviously, there's the classic blockchain trilemma, where you're giving up some levels of security for speed. So how did you decide which of the three from the blockchain trilemma to lean towards? I know you said it was designed for scalability, but also you guys claim to be, you just said you're more decentralized than the Binance Smart Chain, which is not very difficult to do. But how many nodes are currently running for Cosmos, and how big is the block size? Do you see like the total size of the blockchain becoming an issue in the future?
Right. So with any blockchain, the total blockchain size is always going to be a problem in the future. It's not something that we're concerned about right now. I believe currently the Cosmos Hub is about 180 gigabytes.
Okay.
It's not a lot. Of course, with the the recent launch of Gravity Dex a couple of days ago, and the UI for Gravity Dex coming, I would expect the blockchain size to balloon quite a bit. But the way Cosmos really sidesteps the blockchain trilemma is by focusing a lot on scalability, right? So it's not about one chain. It's not about the TPS of one chain or the size of blocks on one chain, or even the size of the entire blockchain. But we ask the question: what if you have 100,000 blockchains to scale instead of just using one? So that's where Cosmos hopes to solve scalability.
So each app has its own chain, and therefore, it only has to handle its own congestion.
Just like how every website has its own database, right? Every blockchain that we see connected through Cosmos, has its own record.
Very cool.
Awesome.
If you're building something big, right? What's one of the biggest databases on the web today? Let's say you're building Facebook, right? Facebook itself, if we're to be converted to a blockchain application, might be made up of 10,000 blockchains itself, right? So I'm obviously just hand waving away scalability here, because it's a lot of work to get 10,000 blockchains to communicate with each other. But that's generally how we think about scalability. If the Cosmos Hub itself becomes saturated, then we will break it into several pieces.
Gotcha.
Cool.
So what do you
by
think
breaking,
oh, go ahead.
oh, thank you.
Good.
So by breaking up these blockchains and making more pieces out of it to scale the blockchains, does that sacrifice the number of nodes on each blockchain, or is there a way to do that where there's still the same number of nodes?
Yeah, so that's a great question. It ends up becoming very technical over time. But so at the highest level, right, each node is just like one machine, maybe a number of machines. And there's 125 right now that secure the Cosmos Hub. 125 different teams located all around the world securing the hub. And if, let's say, the Cosmos Hub, if it becomes too popular, too widely used, and we need to, divide up the number of transactions going to one chain to the other, probably the simplest method to do that, right, is for each of these teams to run an additional node each, right? So there would be 250 nodes, 125 running one chain, 125 running the other. There is very many different sort of cross-chain communication standards that are being developed right now to make that process easier.
Gotcha. What do you think the future of Cosmos looks like? Like, maybe break it down into the 10-year plan and then 20-year plan. We can do it that way.
You guys just came out with a new roadmap, right? Could you maybe walk us through that?
Yeah.
Right. So the Cosmos Hub roadmap just came out recently. It's roughly a 2-year roadmap. It starts with the Gravity Dex and the Gravity Bridge, which you just mentioned. And the next couple of features that are coming up are staking derivatives. It's fairly common, I think, with Ethereum DeFi protocols already. But the idea is if you stake, your token in return for some rewards, you get like another token that represents your stake. And potentially you might want to stake that with another protocol, right? So that's what staking derivatives is. For the Cosmos Hub in particular, when you stake Atom, right now you don't get anything. But in the future with staking derivatives, when you stake Atom, you'll get, a shadow atom that you can use to participate in DeFi, potentially on the hub, potentially on other blockchains in Cosmos.
That's awesome.
Beyond that, there is interchain staking. So in more common parlance, this is shared security, right? So this is the ability to take the Cosmos Hub validator set of 125 different teams and have them validate for more than one chain at a time. We see this as sort of a way to bootstrap new chains that would, benefit from a lot of security. So this would generally be protocols that are sort of greedy on value and on value locked, right? One example might be like a lending protocol, like I mentioned before, right? To secure a blockchain, you need to have a lot of value staked in proof of stake. And if you were to spin up a new blockchain today, how would you value this blockchain? The amount you value the token. Let's say there were 100,000 tokens, and you value each one at $1,000, right? That would make for a $100 million blockchain, and $100 million blockchain is probably sufficient value for you to do some cool experiments on, to do some trading on, to do some locking on. But if you were to spin up a new blockchain that's only valued at $10,000 or $100,000, it wouldn't be secure enough for you to transfer 100,000 on. So that's where shared security comes into play.
Very cool. Well, if the chat has, I saw a chat question earlier. It was asking, what's the difference between Thor chain and the Gravity DEX? I know that they're not even very comparable. But I know Thor chain is one of the big ones that's plugged in right now. Could you maybe talk about? So there's Thor chain, there's Crypto.com. Are there any other ones that you want to point out?
Thor chain, Crypto.com, Terra, Akash, Kava. Yeah. OK Chain, Binance Chain. There's quite a number of others.
Yeah.
Isn't the Binance Smart Chain on there?
I believe Binance Smart Chain is not.
Oh, okay. Or I guess there are other ones. I know they're in there somewhere. But I don't know where they fit in though.
Yeah, the Binance Chain itself is built on the Cosmos SDK. I think Binance Smart Chain is.
Gotcha. That's like a straight fork of Ethereum or something similar to that.
Something similar. Yeah. I haven't really researched this. So going back to the original question, which is the difference between Thor chain and Gravity DEX. I think that's a great question. One of the biggest differences is the community, right? Thor chain really promotes itself as, the cross-chain DEX, and the community, is all about earning yield. Whereas, the atom holders of the Cosmos Hub, who originally, fundraised the project in 2016, believe in this Internet of Blockchains, right? And about building lots of blockchains and supporting the growth of lots of blockchains. So that's one core difference already. In terms of the implementation of the DEX itself, Thor chain, brands itself as a cross-chain DEX for unwrapped assets, right? So actually trading BTC, actually trading ETH on Thor chain, whereas on Gravity DEX, assets generally are all wrapped, other than the base token, which is the atom.
There you go, Richard. All right. That is all we have time for today. Peng, thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure. If there's anything else that you want to mention or bring up or shout out, now is the time. The floor is yours.
Yeah, the main thing I want to shout out, primarily people who are interested in Cosmos today, is that, Gravity DEX did launch 2 days ago. The interface is coming to use that this month. So definitely keep your eyes out for those announcements. If you want to learn more, follow @Cosmos, so you can follow me at ZCPung. But Cosmos is probably more informative.
Okay, and we did link the Cosmos Twitter in the description below, so you can go right down there and find it. But yeah, Pung, thank you so much for your time, and we hope to have you back on in the future.
I really appreciate being on here. Thank you, Logan, Brian, and Ryan.
Yeah, we really enjoyed it. We learned a whole lot, as always, but that's a very exciting project to have on. So
it was fun.
Thank you for coming on.
All right, have a good one. Alrighty, guys. If you enjoyed that Cosmos interview, I know I sure did. I learned a whole lot. Let us know by smashing the like button and giving us a little bit for the value that we just gave you. But next up, let's do one moon or bust coin. So you guys drop the tickers in the chat. You know how this game works. You guys will show us your coins. We'll pull them up and we'll give them a moon or bust rating.
I saw this one on their HydroCoin and on KuCoin where there's a 91%. I'm pretty sure he's talking about APY. And I got this one. For a while I got this coin confused with Hydra and Hydro, and they might be similar, or they might be the same. I think they're two different ones, but it's another like very confusing token if it's the one I'm thinking of, where they don't really have a lot. Like you try to go to their website and it's just a documentation and it's really hard to kind of plow through, but you can get a really large return on their APY if you stake it on KuCoin, or you do their pool X, which is pretty neat. I mean, that's a good return. I did it whenever I first saw it, and sometimes it can go all the way up to like 250.
Yeah, so what I'm seeing here, though, is the market cap's only $1.7 million. And with such a low market cap, I would have to assume that this staking, this APY, is coming from inflation, not coming from user fees. So when you're staking on a proof of stake blockchain, you're typically earning the fees through the transaction fees, kind of like miners do on a proof of work network. But something like this, more likely than not, they're just printing out a bunch of tokens. It's a strategy that some tokens use to keep people stuck in their ecosystem. You know, you're staking coins and you see a 91% interest rate. You're not going to sell out even when it's going down. And naturally, these tokens do go down because they're printing off more. You know, it's supply and demand. So just from that, I'm going to jump right to it. I'm going to give it a bust.
Well, it's also could be KuCoin trying, like, because they have their whole system too, trying to get more liquidity for themselves as well as the chain. Like they work out a deal, and some of these coins work out deals with these with like Coinbase and these exchanges where we will make sure there's a high APY so we can get more liquidity, and then they don't have to add the liquidity themselves. So that's another reason too, and that's one thing you gotta think about. But if it's on a centralized exchange, it's a pretty good, it's pretty safe. Well, quote unquote safe. But I did get this one confused with Hydra, not Hydro. I do know about their APY here, but I was thinking about a different blockchain. But yeah, I agree with you.
We could see here there's like 111 million total supply, only 74 circulating right now. So that stands to confirm what Ryan says, that the rewards are coming from inflation and therefore basically useless. This seems like a semi-Ponzi to me, so I'm going to give it a bust.
I mean, it all depends on which way you look at it. Like, are you just going to sit it and stake it, and that's how you're going to invest into it? Or are you going to, believe in the project and do all that kind of stuff? Who knows how long that high APY will stay? It could be. I mean, I agree with exactly what you said. I think it's the inflation, but it could drop down to 10, and then you've staked for 6 months, and now you're just kind of out of that, whatever.
Yeah, so, and not even that. Yeah, that too. But not only that, it's, you see 91% APY and you think, if I'm going to hold for a year and if it stays at that, then I'm almost doubling my money. But that's just not the case, because this token, it's down more than 50%. So if you invested, a couple months ago and then your investment halves, sure, you're making 91% in the token, but you're still losing money overall. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day.
Yeah. If you want to make 91%, you should probably make it on something that will be worth something in a year. Yeah. So Brian, what's your verdict?
I think this is one of my first busts in a while.
Yeah, definitely. Stay away from projects like these in general. Yeah. It's just too good to be true, right? You see 90% yield. Come on. There has to be a catch.
He did mean Hydra. Okay, so I was pretty sure I was correct. I think Hydro is just some nonsense.
Seems to be that way.
Stay away from it. Go to Hydra. Stay away from hydro.
We haven't made that verdict yet, Brian. I don't think we should be saying that just yet. Maybe we should pull it up on CoinMarketCap.
All right. Well,
okay.
Yeah.
This one's even smaller.
Is it? No, it's not.
Well, it has a bigger market cap, but why is it ranked way lower?
Well, it's a little bit different too. So it's a proof of stake blockchain that is solving that combines inflationary as well as deflationary mechanics to go up and down and kind of to regulate itself, which is pretty cool. And they're kind of an older project, but they haven't had a full website since last time I checked. It was just a doc page, and it was really hard to kind of understand what they got going on. But I do like this project with an A at the end.
You want to pull up the website, Logan?
Yeah,
I mean, the chart doesn't look terrible for where the market's at.
Mm-hmm.
So this sounds kind of familiar to Ethereum EIP 1559 actually, because obviously Ethereum's an inflationary token right now. They mint more off. It's about 10% a year, but then now they're going to be implementing a deflationary mechanism. So it kind of balances out. The more that people that use the network, the more tokens will be burned. So in the future maybe it'll be deflationary instead of inflationary, and then hence ultrasound money.
Hit the staking drop down menu. It is 91%, but that's where that number was coming from too. And Hydra is on KuCoin. I don't think that Hydra token is actually on KuCoin because I haven't seen it, but I do know Hydra is. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those. It's a pretty cool concept. It's a pretty neat idea, and they actually have been around a little bit longer than a lot of these newer projects too. So I think that I would give this one a moon, because they do that deflationary, inflationary thing, and that's where you get the high APY, because they give and take, and they fluctuates it. So it's kind of neat how they do that. I like it. I'll give it a moon.
Okay, so from fundamental perspective, they're doing the same thing that Ethereum will do in 2 weeks, so I'm giving it a bust.
Well, it's its own. Yeah, I mean, it's not going to compete, but I like the idea of it.
Can you go back to the CoinMarketCap page, Logan?
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to stick to a bust just because the same reason I gave Hydro. If you're staking something and making over 90% interest on it, more likely than not, it's not all coming from user fees. It's probably coming from inflation.
No, it's not user fees. It is the inflation and deflation. You are right. That is where it comes from. It's not those redistribution fees or those DeFi coins. It's there's another token that I think we've covered before. It's not P tokens, and I'll bring it up later. But they do that where they it's a stable coin, but it'll go up and down as you go, and you can get rewards from it. But the price is going to stay between 90 cents and 110, and just kind of go and go and go. And then if on the next level up, it's going to go to $2, then $3, and $4. And it's going to keep going, which is pretty cool. I don't remember the name. I don't think we really have time to get into it, so we'll save it.
Alrighty. That is all we have time for today. Like Brian said, if we didn't get to your coin and you need to know, you can shoot us a DM on Twitter and we'd be happy to get back to you. Otherwise, come back on Friday where we will be doing Shiba Inu Part 2. It's going down for real. You won't want to miss it. As always, my name is Logan Ross. This is Moon or Bust, your home for all things altcoins and DeFi. Co-hosts Brian Moir and Ryan McNamara. Thank you guys for a great show today. We will see you on Friday.